It was just another Tuesday night in Denton, Texas. Over the last 3 weeks, around 55,000 students had flooded back to the campuses of the University of North Texas and Texas Women's University. College life was in full swing, with students going out, meeting new people, and having fun. Among them was Jackie Vandegrift, a 24-year-old student whose life was finally beginning to take shape. But on this night, she unknowingly crossed paths with danger. In this video, we delve into the tragic story of Jackie Vandegrift's murder and the relentless investigation that brought her killer to justice, preventing potential future victims. Jackie had recently made the choice to start fresh, pursuing a degree in nutrition at Texas Women's University, known for its health sciences. She'd moved in with 3 other students, and in a heartfelt video she made for a class, she shared a glimpse of her hopeful spirit. "Hello everyone, I'm Jacqueline Vandegrift, but friends call me Jackie. I grew up in the Colony, Texas, moved to Frisco in elementary school, and graduated from Wakeland High School. I'm now a junior at Texas Women's University, majoring in nutrition with a focus on wellness. I chose this path because, working as an esthetician, I saw how crucial nutrition and overall health are. Right now, I'm most interested in corporate wellness since companies are increasingly realizing the need to support employees' health." This promising young woman's life was cut short just as she was finding her way. Join us as we explore the case, pay tribute to her life, and uncover the heartbreaking twists of the murder of Jackie Vandegrift. Jackie Vandegrift was a young woman trying to get her life on track, studying nutrition at Texas Women's University. She had recently moved into a new housing situation with roommates she barely knew and would often head back home on weekends to visit her parents. On Tuesday night, September 13, 2016, she decided to stay in Denton and go out, hoping to meet new people. She ventured out alone to the downtown area, packed with restaurants and bars popular with students. After a recent breakup, Jackie was open to meeting someone new. But on the morning of September 14th, a horrifying discovery was made. A man walking in Acorn Woods in Grapevine, Texas, just before dawn noticed a fire near the wood line and saw a silver or gray SUV pulling out of the parking lot. He flagged down 2 nearby parks and recreation employees, Brock Howard and Mark Lockwood, who quickly doused the flames with a bucket of water from their truck. Once the flames were out, they saw what had been burning: a blue plastic kiddie pool containing the remains of a dismembered human body, charred beyond recognition. Grapevine Police Department officers arrived on the scene, led by Patrolman Oscar Ramirez, followed closely by Fire Chief Darrell Brown. They quickly sealed off the area and called in the Texas Rangers and the FBI to assist with forensic resources. Investigators searched for witnesses and checked nearby security cameras, starting the intensive investigation that would eventually reveal the tragic events of that night and bring Jackie's killer to justice. According to reports from officers on the scene, the victim's body showed disturbing signs of dismemberment. Both arms had been severed at the elbows, and her legs were cut around the knees, with these parts placed in plastic trash bags and laid on top of the torso in a blue plastic kiddie pool. Her head had also been removed, placed in a plastic bag, and tucked into the corpse's armpit, while the torso cavity was exposed, revealing visible internal organs. The body, smelling strongly of gasoline, was taken for autopsy. The fire had been extinguished before consuming all the accelerant, preserving portions of her clothing, including blue jeans and a gray Texas Women's University t-shirt. Detectives noted that one hand was entirely charred, but the other retained enough skin to provide partial fingerprints, which were quickly processed. Meanwhile, the autopsy confirmed the victim was a petite adult female under 5 feet tall, weighing less than 100 pounds. Strikingly, her heart had been removed shortly after her death, and all signs of dismemberment appeared to have happened post-mortem. By 2:30 p.m., detectives received a match on the fingerprints identifying the victim as Jacqueline Ray Vandergriff, a 24-year-old student from Texas Women's University. Investigators went to her apartment, where her roommates described her as dedicated to her studies and single. They had last seen her 2 nights before. Her Mazda was found in the parking lot with cash and credit cards left untouched inside, suggesting she hadn't returned to use it in recent days. Her family, who lived nearby, provided police with her phone details, but no phone had been found with the body. The investigation would soon deepen as they uncovered more about her last known interactions. Police investigators quickly traced Jackie Vandergriff's last contacts, which led them to 2 numbers. The first was her ex-boyfriend, with whom she'd recently spoken, but he was soon ruled out as he hadn't been near Grapevine, Texas, and had a solid alibi. The second was a simple text from Sherry Bogg, a woman Jackie had met the night she was last seen. Sherry became crucial in reconstructing the night's events. Sherry told police she and 2 friends had gone to Fry Street Public House, a bar where they met Jackie between 9:15 and 9:30 p.m. Jackie was sitting with a bald man in his late 20s, who was very fit and tan, chatting with the bartender. Sherry and Jackie struck up a conversation, exchanged phone numbers, and later moved to another bar, Shots and Craft. The man followed, continuously trying to join in on Sherry and Jackie's conversation until Sherry and her group left. Detectives retrieved security footage from the bars and a nearby pizza parlor, Crooked Crust, where cameras covered the parking lot. Fry Street bartender Katie Allen confirmed knowing the man and explained she had gone out with him a few times but had not pursued a relationship due to issues he was experiencing after a recent breakup. Crooked Crust's video showed the man arriving that afternoon, grabbing a pizza slice, and heading toward Fry Street Public House. He was later seen parking his silver Mitsubishi Outlander across from the bar, a vehicle matching the eyewitness's description near the crime scene. That evening, the man, Charles Bryant, offered Jackie a ride home. Video showed them returning to his car at 8:47 p.m., staying inside for about 20 minutes before driving off. Police traced his movements using cell tower pings, which led them to a 7-Eleven in Denton. Security footage there showed Charles buying drinks and a sandwich while Jackie remained in the car. Later, her phone registered near Fort Worth before its final signal at 1:32 a.m., coming from a tower close to Bryant's home. Bryant was no stranger to law enforcement. He had prior arrests in Grapevine for marijuana possession and forgery, as well as a misdemeanor assault charge in Washington. Notably, he was under a protective order by an ex-girlfriend in Denton, giving investigators more reason to suspect him as the prime suspect in Jackie's tragic case. Charles Bryant was already on campus police's radar due to his history of stalking and violating a protective order taken out by his ex-girlfriend, an 18-year-old student at North Texas University. After their 3-month relationship ended, he continued to pursue her, leading to his arrest on September 6, 2016, and a removal from campus. However, within days, Charles returned, showing up at her dorm with flowers, hoping to reconcile. Although he left before police arrived, a warrant was issued for his arrest should he return. When Jackie Vandergriff's case emerged, police connected the dots and dispatched the local drug task force to watch Charles's home at 1417 Sand Hills Drive in Hazlet, Texas. Detectives also secured search warrants for his home, car, and cell phone. Once Charles drove away, police quickly pulled him over, arrested him, and towed his car for evidence collection. Inside his vehicle, police found several critical pieces of evidence: a .22 caliber Sig Sauer pistol, a stun gun with a single long blonde hair tangled in it, zip ties matching those found at the crime scene, and blue plastic flakes from a burned kiddie pool. They also discovered blonde hairs and bloodstains in the vehicle's back cargo area, along with clothes he wore the night Jackie disappeared. Further searches of Charles's home uncovered 4 kiddie pools, which were part of a marijuana growing operation. A matching pool was found outside, used by his dogs, and there was a circular patch in the grass where another pool had once been placed. In the trash, investigators found a satchel with the Texas Women's University logo, similar to the one Jackie was carrying, as well as more zip ties with blonde hairs. In Charles's closet, detectives located a large military-style knife that later tested positive for blood, along with a small red gas can. Security footage from a gas station captured Charles filling up the gas can in the early hours before the reported fire. Additionally, a receipt showed he'd purchased a shovel from Walmart around 4:45 a.m., the morning of Jackie's murder. Investigators discovered a half-dug hole in the backyard, which he claimed was for a koi pond but appeared more likely intended to bury or burn Jackie's body. With a strong case, police brought Charles in for questioning. Despite the overwhelming evidence, he neither denied nor explained the crime, stating only that he couldn't remember doing it but implied that it had to be him. The investigators needed more than just Charles's reluctant acknowledgement of the evidence. They needed him to confess specifically to committing the murder. To help achieve this, the Texas Rangers brought in Jim Holland, an expert interviewer with a focus on eliciting confessions, especially in homicide cases. He began the interview by establishing rapport with Charles, sharing light anecdotes about his own job, fitness, and experiences in the dating scene. This approach was aimed at making Charles feel more at ease, possibly encouraging him to open up. Jim Holland continued to let Charles share his version of events, which remained vague. Charles reiterated that he remembered meeting Jackie at a bar in Denton, but claimed he didn't recall her leaving with him or going back to his place. He explained his disbelief upon learning the following day that she had been found dead. Even as he acknowledged his connection to the events, Charles repeatedly expressed confusion and a sense of detachment, claiming he couldn't believe he'd been involved in such a crime. The detectives persisted, sensing that Charles's body language and fragmented admissions hinted at more awareness than he let on. However, despite Holland's skillful techniques and patient approach, Charles still fell short of providing a full confession, leaving investigators with strong circumstantial evidence but no direct admission from Charles himself. Charles continued expressing disbelief at his alleged actions, describing how out of character they seemed to him. He reiterated that he didn't remember leaving with Jackie or taking her to his house, insisting he wasn't aggressive by nature. Throughout the interview, he frequently acknowledged the evidence against him, even saying, "It's obviously me," while still maintaining he couldn't recall doing it. As the Texas Rangers pressed him further, Ranger Holland offered a theory about blackouts, suggesting that memories could resurface within 72 hours, sometimes piece by piece. Charles agreed to go along with this line of thought, and over hours of discussion he began recalling certain details. He vaguely remembered Jackie at the bar, commenting on her small stature, but expressed confusion about how their interaction could have led to violence. Ranger Holland then confronted him with specific pieces of physical evidence: the zip ties found on Jackie, the blue kiddie pool from Charles's backyard, and DNA traces on various items associated with the crime scene. Holland mentioned that the DNA and fingerprints on the pool, along with dog hair likely matching Charles's dogs, would inevitably confirm his involvement. He also referenced the knife in Charles's closet, noting that it was pending further tests. Despite being faced with overwhelming evidence, Charles continued his denial, alternating between acceptance of guilt based on evidence and insistence on his inability to remember the crime. The investigators were left with a complex case where Charles's partial acknowledgments, along with physical evidence, painted a clear but challenging picture for the legal process. The investigator continued pressing Charles with details of the evidence, explaining that traces of his DNA and fingerprints had been found all over the crime scene and on various items. He detailed that Jackie's fingerprints had been identified through a system called AFI's Automated Fingerprint Identification System, and that there was skin under her nails that would likely match Charles's DNA. He went further, describing how the evidence was stacking up against him with each new test result. The investigator also described how DNA and dog hairs from Charles's pets were found in the blue kiddie pool along with Jackie's remains, noting that his roommates had seen him digging in the backyard around 4 a.m. He reminded Charles of the koi pond excuse he had given to his roommates and mentioned a shovel that was left in plain sight the next morning, which also had Charles's DNA on it. Then, in a more graphic detail, the investigator revealed that a male DNA strand was found on Jackie's body, specifically on her tongue. He warned Charles that photos of the crime scene, which he offered to show, were deeply disturbing. When Charles asked about Grapevine's role in the case, the investigator explained that the Grapevine authorities were ready to close their investigation due to the overwhelming evidence against him, but he encouraged Charles to provide more answers for a full understanding of what happened. The evidence left Charles with no room to deny his involvement, as the authorities had meticulously gathered physical proof linking him to the crime. The investigator, Ranger Holland, continues trying to break down Charles's story, probing his psychology and motivations. He first hints at the possibility that if Charles were a sociopath or serial killer who routinely fantasized about killing, then perhaps he should just stop talking and let the case play out. But then he quickly pivots, drawing parallels between Charles's actions and his recent stalking charge related to his ex-girlfriend, Caitlin. Holland suggests that stalking behavior typically stems from rejection, emphasizing how people like Charles could feel anger after being turned away. The Ranger tries to connect these feelings to Charles's physical actions, framing the crime as a kind of mission mode response, where Charles might have acted in survival mode to handle a situation gone wrong. He describes a bad moment where Charles might have snapped, followed by a calculated effort to cover his tracks. Holland probes into whether Caitlin, Charles's ex, could have influenced his mindset, possibly triggering memories or anger he redirected at Jackie. He even asks if Charles might have mentally replaced Jackie with Caitlin in his drunken state, explaining it as a kind of psychological phenomenon called repression. When asked about his current feelings towards Caitlin, Charles admits to being troubled, recounting the court drama, jail time, and the trespassing charge he received for leaving flowers at Caitlin's apartment on their anniversary. The investigator attempts to gain insight by probing Charles's psychological state and whether unresolved emotions from past relationships could have played a role in his actions, seeking to break through any mental barriers Charles might still have about fully admitting guilt. Charles was ultimately tried for the murder of Jacqueline Ray Vandergriff. He was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, with an additional 20 years for tampering with evidence. During the investigation, searches on his home computer revealed disturbing queries, such as how to remove a person's heart, how much formaldehyde is needed to preserve a human heart, and how to use clear resin to create an art piece. These were all made before he even met Jackie, suggesting he may have been preparing for a dark act, perhaps initially intended for his stalking victim. His true motives may remain a mystery. Adding to the disturbing evidence, police also uncovered hundreds of pieces of child pornography on Charles's computer. He was later convicted of a Class 3 felony for possession of these materials, showing he had a dark side long before his encounter with Jackie Vandergriff. The question remains whether Jackie's murder was a crime of passion or a twisted act of opportunity, possibly linked to the unresolved rage he harbored toward his ex-girlfriend. If you found this case intriguing, please like, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. We're on our journey to 1 million subscribers, and we'd love for you to be part of it. Tap the notification bell to stay updated on our latest true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe and remember you never know what's lurking in the shadows.